How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Calling Dallas-Fort Worth. We are currently going into the semifinals. I'm here joined by Steven, also known as DM Armada.
Yep.
And what do you say about taking a look at the bracket going into the semifinals?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So looking at the bracket, we have Alec Myers versus Nam Vo. Alec is facing up against literally the only person that drafted Oldham and a Guardian main from what it looks like based on his performance, or at least his choice to perform with Bravo at Las Vegas, right?
Las Vegas, yeah. And it is a spicy Oldham deck. Being the only Oldham in the pod, he kind of got hooked up with all of the sweet Oldham stuff.
Yeah, he is definitely playing Controlled-Em. And we have Drayton over on the other side of the bracket up against Nick. Nick, we just watched pick up the win versus Brendan, playing that really cool Honing Hood, sinking the Polar Blast in and drawing a card off of the play from Arsenal to grab that arrow for the win. A really cool way to wrap that up.
Very cool game. I love Lexi, and I love to see like the Lexi mirrors and all of like the intricacies there. There's so many different lines of play. You know, your bow activations and all of these other like pump cards. It was very entertaining to watch personally.
It would have been even more cool to watch both of those players play against other matchups, so we could see how well Lexi could fare, you know, against a Briar. But we are going to see that matchup very soon. I think first we are going to jump into the first matchup we talked about, which is a Briar versus Oldham matchup, and I think we're ready to jump right into it. So if we are going to kick into the semifinal. Looks like it is going to be the Briar versus Oldham matchup. They said they're queuing it up right now and getting us set to jump into the match. I know I really enjoyed watching Nam play last time we saw, and it was I think it was the same type of matchup, wasn't it, against a Briar opponent?
It was, yeah, Briar versus Oldham, and we saw exactly what he was doing in the top 32, just tanking up, very willing to just block things out, play the slow game, be very calm and patient about it, and I would not be surprised if we see a repeat of that here. He's basically just a he's just a brick wall. It's like this almost like unmovable object, and it's going to be very interesting to see if Briar can like punch enough arcane damage through. It's also very interesting to note that there were like what, 5 Briars in the draft pod, so that Briar pool is stretched very thin over 5 players. It's going to be very interesting to see how something like this plays out.
And it's one of those scenarios too where we actually saw like Oldham players try this strategy of just decking out Briars and just not pull it off, but Nam has pulled it off, and it's not with a special weapon. It's not with you know, like using the you know, effect every single time on Oldham. It's just from consistent play of knowing when to block, knowing how to use your Summerwood shelters, knowing some of those key turns when your opponent's trying to push that damage, and capitalizing when they commit all of their resources to a big play and blocking it out. So let's see if he can do the same thing as we jump into semi-finals of the Calling Dallas-Fort Worth. There's 4 players left, and this will decide who plays in the finals.
I'd like to note we have Alec Myers on Briar, and this is a player that we saw several times during coverage yesterday, also playing Briar. It's very interesting to note here that we know Nam is very comfortable with Guardian, and we know that Alec is actually very happy playing Briar. So these are 2 players who are in their element. They're in their preferred class, their preferred hero, and I'm very interested to see how this actually plays out.
Yeah.
Alec is the top seed going into this as well.
And not only that, he's revealing a Bramble Spark, he's revealing an Earth card, so this is going to give +3 to his next attack, and he's sending in Arcanic Shockwave for 2, but it actually comes for 5 with 2 points of Arcane if he can fuse, and I believe he did fuse. When Alec fuses, he fuses for his opponent in very much a way that he's showing him his cards. You can see to the bottom there, he's showing his cards just straight up. So we may not be able to see as well those cards, but we do know that he is indicating the fuse, and it looks like he's literally just taking all of this, or he's taking obviously the 2.
Taking 2 Arcane. Getting some embodiment of Earth tokens. Those tokens may or may not see a lot of use in this matchup. I expect to see a lot of hammer swings from Nam here. We've seen it a lot. It's probably his go-to play, coming in with the hammer, just like here. Those embodiment, at this point, That makes it so you can actually decently block with the non-attacks in your hand. It's going to be a very interesting situation whether or not, how much damage Alec lets through and how big of a turn he wants to set up so he can actually punch that damage through
Well,
onto Oldhim.
Yeah, we've seen players in his position say, okay, I'll block this with a card from hand. Okay, you do it again next turn. I'll block that one with a card from hand. Okay, stop doing that. I'll block that with a card from hand.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I need to stop. I need to put together a big turn. And then he just blocks their big turn.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they get sort of lulled into this constant, like, oh, they're going to just push, push, push. Maybe I need to set up something big to come over the defense. And, oh, he just had the nuts to stop it. Oh, coming in with a Lightning Surge, red.
Do likes me some Lightning Surge. Well, this one was played from Arsenal, correct?
Yes,
so it does have go again.
It does indeed.
And this is, the start to a pretty good turn here for Alec. And exactly like Steven was saying, we saw a lot of other decks trying to punch through damage, and Nam was very, very comfortable just kind of like blocking it out and following up with hammer swings. And here we have another block. So this is going to be blocking for 3.
Yeah, if he's not careful, and this is true of every player that plays against Briar, you can assume, like, I'm doing a great job of blocking these, attacks. I'm literally blocking for 3, taking 1. But all of these cards really attack those breakpoints. Like Arcanic Shockwave here is also pushing for 4, and there's no way to stop the Arcane. Well, technically he could runaways if he wanted to,
yes.
but there's not really much in the way of stopping that breakpoint. So he has to really consider exactly this. He has to consider when he wants to 2-block something, and he's going to just send the Mark of Lightning on over early.
Interesting. Interesting that he's popping that now and not waiting for like a Ball Lightning turn to kind of gain a little bit of extra value out of it.
Sure. Maybe he wants the Embodiment of Earth tokens, perhaps, because it does make him a 3rd Embodiment of Earth token, and that could be beneficial if he suspects that he's going to see a lot of pressure. But he just saw a 2-block. And there's 1 card left in hand, and you know what's going to happen when there's 1 card left in hand, right?
Yep.
Chat, do you know what's going to happen?
May we see hammer time?
There it is.
Yep.
And this one does come across for, I think, just 3.
I think it's just 3 as well. He's very happy to block with this non-attack action for 5.
He says that now.
Yeah, well,
give it 28 turns. Maybe he won't be as happy.
Yeah, it is an Inspire Lightning too, which is kind of I would consider a premium card in this matchup.
I do want to point out, these life totals are swapped, and we said that they're in the process of fixing those life totals, so they will swap those back. So currently Nam is sitting at 15. He has taken points of damage. This Arcanic Shockwave will deal 1 point of Arcane, and is threatening 2 points of physical damage.
I would like to note that at this point, Alec's done a great job of keeping up the pressure with the arcane damage that we haven't actually seen so far in the matches that Nam's been a part of. He's taking constant little chip damage turn after turn, and that's really where you want to be, just to kind of chip him down over time with enough arcane damage.
Yeah, and we haven't seen other players do that. And namely, we've seen other players try to go like Tall Briar, for example, playing a bunch of Earth. And if you go Tall Briar, then he has the ability to like block with a card and play Summerwood Shelter, which is a rare that adds defense value to a card that's like out there already. So he has ways to deal with that. Now, maybe he's leaning into this strategy of blocking out physical and taking Arcane, namely because 1, you can't stop Arcane too many times,
right, exactly.
and 2, he's basically gambiting that you don't have 20 sources of Arcane in your damage, in your deck.
Give or take a little bit, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Here we have an activation on the Deep Blue, which is fairly interesting. It tells me, okay, so he's just doing Deep Blue into the hammer, tucking a card.
It literally could be that he's 2 red cards, and he needed to sink 1 red card so that he can get 3 resources.
Yeah,
so he can constantly say, give me a card from your hand or take 3 damage and be at parity with me at life total.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And so instead of saving this for a really big turn, he's instead using it as kind of like almost like a tempo advantage kind of thing. Instead of losing the tempo, trying to keep it up.
Well, I mean, have we seen Nam really spend a lot of resources to play those big glacials?
Not really.
Very less done for him. He doesn't want to play those in the mid game. He really just saves those for the end or saves them for blocking. And look, there's another source of Arcane, and there's one that you can count and put in your brain for later. Another blue singeing steel blade down there.
I would not be surprised if we see that blue singeing steel blade again in this game. So this is a 4 damage attack coming in, automatically deals that 1 arcane damage, which is great. Once again, you really need to get that chip damage in, and Ooh.
Lightning press
Nice.
over the top, and that's
Very
is that a
nice.
red lightning press to push 1, I think?
It's I can't tell what color the lightning press is, to be honest, but
Well,
it
I
is
think
going to push a little bit of damage
Yeah,
through.
I think he double blocked perhaps with 2 3s, and so to push any damage over the top, it would be a red.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Nevertheless, hey, it's hammer time
it's
by
hammer
pitching
time.
a blue.
That's the name of the game here. It is hammer time. This is yeah, once again still very, very interesting. At some point, I gotta think, like, Alec is probably like, okay, maybe one of these turns when I can string something really big together, I'll just take it. But until then, I probably just want to keep my life as healthy as possible.
Yeah. I think as Nam, you want to dig through your deck and find the Summerwood Shelters, find the Turn Timbers, find your ways to deal with if they ever decide to go large. If they ever decide to go tall, then you want to find a way to stop that. And if they don't, if he continues to just do this sort of thing, where he's just like, Entwine Lightning for 2, reveal a Lightning Press.
Revealing the Lightning Press, which is very interesting, actually. We have a 3 block, and he's basically saying, do you want to use that Lightning Press now? Do you want to push in some damage? I guess I will.
And so at this point, you could actually pitch to stop that. It looks like it's adding +2. So if you wanted to, you could defense reaction pitch to use the Oldham ability, and you may get some value out of that because you could come in with like a Rosetta Thorn after the fact. You could come in with like, I don't know, anything that deals arcane damage.
Yeah, he's definitely something to consider. I think he just ended up taking it.
Yeah.
Just taking the little bit of extra damage here, because it was just a blue lightning press, as far as I can tell, and a yellow. I mean, a blue Entwine Lightning and a yellow lightning press.
That's right. So pushing 4 to the 3 block there, and then comes in with Stir the Wildwood. Stir the Wildwood doesn't get the buff, I don't believe, and no arcane damage. So I think this is just a vanilla 4.
Just a 4 coming in, yeah. Another interesting thing to note, pitched another Singeing Steelblade.
Yeah.
So that's 2 Singeing Steelblades that we'll see on the second cycle of his deck.
Yeah. And very close together as well. So
for sure.
He could string those together over 2 turns. Oh, and this is interesting. He's considering playing down the Runaways to allow him to block with a card from hand, maybe. Oh, no, he's just going to turn Timber red.
Turn Timber from Arsenal.
Yeah, this is a fine time to use a turn Timber because you can see your opponent's definitely playing more of the stretched out, like, go wide strategy. So finding any value out of that turn Timber so that you can maybe cycle a different card into your arsenal might be worth it.
Yeah, and we do know from the previous game that Nam is running a few number of defense reactions. He's got them in the deck.
Hammer time.
Hammer time.
Everyone stop. Hammer time.
Stop.
Write it down.
Hammer time.
Write it down. You get points in chat if you figure out how many times he hammers by the end of the game.
Or how many times he's hammered total this entire day.
Oh, I don't know.
A lot.
Anyone that has the patience to go back and count that many, good for you.
But yeah, once again, Alex got to consider, you know what? Do I need to block here? Do I need to take some damage? The life totals are, getting a lot closer.
I love Alex's expression just then. He's like, just tosses his hand up. Like,
his hand
on the head, tosses his hand up. It's like, can I get a 4-card hand? Do I just take this? I love how he's kept parity. The life totals are so close.
Always with the hammer. Yeah. So we do have, let's see. I can see an Electrify in his hand, in Alex's hand. I can also see, I think, a...
Looks like a Wildwood and a Rites of Replenishment, which is going to be the one that he blocks with.
You have the Rites block. We'll block it out.
I forgot what he pitched to actually pay for that, so it may have actually pushed for 4. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
So it dealt 1 damage there.
So we have a Bramble Spark, indicating that there's no fuse, into a Stir the Wildwood red, which will get the pump effect because it's going to be dealing 1 arcane damage.
And this is coming across for 7 after it deals that arcane damage. And there's no way for him to stop the arcane ahead of time because there was no attack or damage taken prior to this.
Yeah, it's very interesting going up against Oldham as Briar. You want to deal the arcane damage before they even have a chance to use their defense reaction, so you can guarantee that damage.
Yep.
And a 7 attack is still pretty good. I think Nam is probably very happy just blocking with a bunch of cards. He may even have a really nice defense reaction in hand. Looks like he's going to be blocking.
Glacial in the Summerwood Shelter.
Yep.
Yep, there it is. That combo.
7.
Blocks the 7
Blocking
just
all that.
comfortably. Yeah, we've seen it time and time again from his deck, and this is the second time we've seen this version of the deck. He values the Summerwood Shelters, so he drafts them, and in this instance you can see why, because it was a 2-card block from hand, which can play around things like Dominate. It can play around large attacks that attack for 7 breakpoints. You just block for 3 and then throw the Summerwood Red down.
Absolutely great value in this set, I think.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to go tall with all of the heroes. All the heroes have ways to go tall, and I think the Summerwood this really shines.
Summerwood for 3.
Yeah, yeah. So he's coming in with this stir, just a little baby stir.
Oh, I said Summerwood, didn't I? I stirred the Wildwood for 3. Excuse me.
Got Summerwood on the brain.
I got Summerwood on the brain. Blocks just with a card from hand, and that passes back over to Nam, allowing him to play a little bit. With,
as Briar, you got to be pretty sad about
I was
that
going to
turn.
say he was going to play a little bit with like a 3-card hand, and just kidding. It's hammer time again for 3.
He's like, no, I could do stuff, but I'm just going to hammer.
Yeah.
You going to block this? You got a hammer coming at you.
I'm just going to hammer.
Man, that hammer is putting in so much work.
And look, you can see the deck totals dwindle on Alec's side.
That's very, very interesting.
Oh, is this one of the 2 that he pitched earlier? Did he cycle already? He could have cycled already, and this deals 1 arcane.
So, yeah, and with Oldham sitting at 11, this chip is good, but not as good as you would like. Pitching, an important card to note also, an Arcanic Shockwave. It's another card that has the potential to deal arcane damage. And we just have a full block because that Singeing was only coming in for 2 physical.
Yeah, so I do think that Nam does take the 1 there, and so the Alec Myers life total is supposed to be related to Nam. But nevertheless, the parity is so close, like the life totals are so close that both players are basically equal, and Nam is sitting pretty by pitching and attacking with the hammer.
It's actually fairly remarkable how close the life totals are with how defensive Nam has been. He's been able to keep up the pressure enough so that the life totals are this close while simultaneously being very, very defensive. I think that really speaks to the strength that Oldham has. And especially in particular in draft, as we can see here.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because we were talking about this earlier. It's one of those scenarios where like we didn't see a lot on stream of Oldham, and maybe it's just because people needed to be shown how to do it. Right. This, by the way, is coming for $1 billion. This is a casual Rites of Lightning Fuse, dealing 1 arcane and coming for 9 with Go Again.
I like this. I like this. Other than the fact that it's attacking for 9. Alec also says, yo, I got this lightning press in my hand too. So if you don't block a lot, I can still push some damage through. So if Nam decides to overblock, Alec can follow that up with a Rosetta Thorn because this attack does have Go Again. That's what Rites of Lightning does. It has Go Again if it does arcane damage.
Look at this. He's going to do a Runaways activation.
All right.
After he took the arcane damage, he can do that. Then he's going to pitch to play Turn Timber.
Oh, yeah, defense reaction.
He's going to fuse Turn Timber and block. I think block it out.
I think so.
And then he's going to pitch there to activate Oldham. So he's going to block everything. No damage leaks through on that attack. And yeah, it is. He's down to 9 where Alec is at 11. And then, oh, wow, so powerful. Coming across for another point of arcane and 4 physical damage.
Yeah, Arcanic Shockwave.
1 card left in hands.
It's the Lightning Press that we saw.
No, 1 card left in hand on Nam's side.
Oh,
can
true.
only
Very
block
true.
3 out of the 4. So he is going to take another point in addition to the arcane. So that drops him, I think, down to 7.
Very curious that Alec decided not to play that Lightning Press.
Well, he's going to arsenal the lightning Press, I believe, and set up for a 5-card hand overall. I mean, look at his deck. His deck looks like he's got 1 hand left of cards.
Maybe 3 or 4 cards
left. So at this point, he's basically just saying, I need to find some way to string together a very large turn to close this out, because if I don't, then I'm just going to run out of threats like tomorrow, like next turn.
So he pitched a Singeing Steelblade to the bottom of his deck.
Yep.
That's going to be an important card in the end game going here.
Yeah, like next turn.
Ooh, Oaken Old.
Oaken Old he doesn't have the ability to fuse it. It's so hard to fuse.
He doesn't even need to fuse it. He's just like, here you go. Here's 7.
7 damage. How do you feel?
And at this point, Alex, like his deck's not looking great. Every single card he uses to block is a huge deal. Yep. You can't just block willy-nilly here. You really have to pay attention. And he's just not going to do it. He's just not going to block at all. Gonna go down to 4.
Wow.
So
he needs his cards because he knows he doesn't have
to.
much to draw left. He's pitching the second Singeing Steel Blade. Looks like there were 3 like in circulation.
It's literally do or die right now.
Revealing a Lightning Surge to fuse this Velaflash.
Once again, pitching another blue Singeing Steel Blade. These are getting a lot of pitch value out of these Singeing Steel Blades.
So in this scenario, with yellow Velaflash coming across for 4, you're perhaps trying to set up that you're going to play a non-attack that has Go Again at instant speed because you did fuse Velaflash. That does give you an action point so that you can follow this up with maybe like Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2.
I think that is a very good assessment here.
Pitching to pay for a Biting Gale, blocking for...
Defense reaction.
Did he fuse it? I didn't quite catch. I don't think he did.
I don't think I saw a fusion here.
If he does fuse that, that's absolutely insane, but I don't think he does. I think he's content to just block it out and Electrify.
So this is exactly what Steven was saying. It's a non-attack action that has Go Again, so he will get his action point back. So he does now have an action point, so we can follow this up with Rosetta Thorn or possibly something else from hand. We know he still has that Lightning Press in arsenal. Yeah, this is a very, very... interesting situation here.
By the way, he can pitch if you and then the Lightning Press from hand, or sorry, from Arsenal, like you said. He can pitch the effect here, the defense reaction effect, because that Electrify was played at instant speed.
That's true.
I would imagine it was played on the resolution of this effect of this combat chain link. And then we're coming across for Rosetta Thorn. 2 and 2.
Yep, 2 arcane, 2 physical. Gonna block out the physical.
Yep.
And just continue to try to chip as much damage as you can
Yep.
from Oldham.
That's one of those turns I would love to just walk back through because there are some interesting things going on there. If we had more time to talk exactly through all of that, the interplay that just happened was fascinating with a defense reaction activation and then a play of an instant in response so that you can push damage up to stop the ability to stop the arcane damage. It's like I want to talk about that turn because it was so good. But look at this. Lightning Surge red for a Biting Gale trade there into a blue Singeing.
One of the 2 blue Singeings that we've seen been pitched around.
And he's just down to what, 2 cards, 3 cards now because he's going to draw that last one. So, and this is it. This is what you do as Nam. You just you draw your hand, you attack with the hammer, you let them play out their last 3 cards, and then you play Glacial Footsteps blue.
or just hammer. It's just hammer time.
Yeah,
still.
no, you hammer. They're going to block it.
Always hammer time.
Take 1. You have 2 cards left in hand.
Oh man,
not much left.
And then look at Nam's deck, very, very healthy. He's like, hey, here's that last Singeing Steel Blade. I'm gonna deal you one point of arcane damage.
Make an embodiment of Earth, but it's not gonna matter because the 2 cards in circulation, or really, I think it's just 1 card in circulation now, blocks it out.
I think at this point we're just kind of going through the motions here. Which is, Alex like, yeah.
There it is. There's, I told you, the Glacial, with the finish on the Glacial. He had the Glacial for the memes. Absolute strong finish with the Glacial Footsteps for the win. And Nam moves into the finals with as the only Oldham player in the top 8 draft. He moves to the final match, securing himself a top 2 finish and perhaps taking home the trophy. The trophy for the 2021 Calling Dallas-Fort Worth champion.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Who would have called that Oldham would have gotten this far and have this much of a chance? I think he's got a very, very real chance. Very, very strong performance.
Well, let's jump to a quick break, and then we'll dive into the second of our semifinal matches, and we'll find out who's playing in the finals. We'll see you in a minute.
How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Calling Dallas-Fort Worth. I am here once again with Steven, also known as DMR Mata. We've had a very, very exciting top 8 so far with a very, very strong Oldham showing.
And it's not over yet.
That is
It's not over yet because we're going to jump into the other semifinal game, and this one is also going to be a good one. This is Nick Zimmerman with Lexi versus Drayton on Briar. So let's go ahead and jump right into the last semifinal before we have our finals match set in stone. Let's see who ends up picking it up, the 7th seed on Lexi or the 3rd seed on Briar.
I think this is going to be a very, very interesting match. A match that I've actually also played a lot in Limited. I played a lot of Lexi against a lot of Briars, and I kind of love this match. I love the interplay between all of the damage being thrown around, and the arcane versus the dominate. I think it's all very, very interesting. And speaking of a decently big turn from Lexi, we have a red overflex. Plus,
oh gosh, it's a frost lock, majestic frost lock, but no fuse on it.
He's like, let me read that. Let me read that frost
Oh,
lock.
it's still coming for 7.
Yeah, it's still coming in for 7. Not fused, so it's not going to have that extra ability. And we're going to see just a single block from Drayton here, blocking for 3. So
most likely because of the dominate probably added to the arrow, right?
Very, very good point.
Yeah.
So he's going to end up taking 4 damage here. It's a pretty good first turn. If you're the Lexi player, definitely want to apply as much early game pressure as you can.
My goodness.
Speaking of which,
if he could have fused that frost lock, it would have locked ball lightning from being played.
Sure.
Oh,
yeah.
That would have been an insane start.
I loves me some frost lock, but it was not fused, and now we have a ball lightning coming in. This is a red ball lightning. Definitely one of the standout cards of this entire tournament. Ball Lightning is an absolutely phenomenal limited card. And you know what? Also, I'm just going to say it. Phenomenal card all around. Absolutely phenomenal. 0-cost card, go again. And it has a really, really sweet ability to pump up all of the damage, basically, on the same combat chain for Lightning and Elemental cards.
And you do have to keep in mind that it has to be on the same combat chain.
That's
so
very important.
You can't play non-attack action and then continue to follow that combat chain up because that will break the combat chain.
So we will have a full block here, blocking for 3, and then following that up with a Singeing Steel Blade. Interesting to note, the Singeing Steel Blade is not an Elemental or Lightning card. It is only a Rune Blade card, so it will not deal the 2 arcane damage. It will only deal 1.
Correct, yeah. But this still does attack for 1 arcane and 3 physical damage.
Yeah, still pretty solid. That will hit and create another embodiment of Earth, which is not bad. I mean, like, if you're facing against Lexi, and Lexi can do all of this dominate shenanigans, having more embodiment of Earth tokens is really, really good for mitigating that dominate ability.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Is I'm interested to see what the composition of Nick's hands is because Singeing Steel Blade was not blocked, so that tells me he wants to keep a hand of 3 cards and wants to do something with his arsenal, like maybe flipping it over or just like coming in with some sort of an attack. He does have Honing Hood, so he could flip something over, pull it back into his hand, and then swap it for like an arrow or something like that, or vice versa. He could, like swap the card that's in arsenal and slam down something you want to flip over.
Yeah, for sure. I really like Honing Hood. I think it's a very innocuous card. You can do a lot of tricky things, like you were just exactly like you were talking.
That's exactly right. He is floating 2 resources here, but there is no go again added to this Singeing Steel Blade. So this should be the end of the turn. They clean it up. They try to make sure they have everything accurate as far as Ball Lightning, whether or not it actually does buff Arcane. It does not buff Arcane because, as you said, it is not Lightning or Elemental in nature.
Ooh, another red overflex. Well, this
is. See how he snapped that
down?
Like,
he was just waiting. He was just like, let me play this. Let me play this.
Are we clear? Okay. Boom! Overflex.
This is probably why he kept this 3-card hand. He's like, I know I have something spicy here.
Well, it depends, because I wonder what his 3rd card is. And look, he just needed everything because it was all red. Perhaps it was like yellow, red, and then a red arrow. So, yeah, you needed every resource here so that you could actually make this play.
Casual 9. Possibly dominate. Probably dominate. I'm gonna say
probably
dominate.
Let's just go with dominate.
Yeah, it's a really good spot to be in.
This is the path to victory, right? This does block 3, and then he's going to Sigil of Suffering for 1 point of Arcane, and that is going to block another 3. But this should still allow that push to, sink 3 damage into him, and that is going to force a either discard or pay a resource effect.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Yep.
You can never discount the Sigil of Suffering here coming in from Briar.
Slamming down another Amulet of Lightning, followed by a red Singeing Steel Blade, threatening that arcane damage and 4 breakpoint attack. Does take the arcane, of course, because he has to.
Yep, of course, generating one of those Embodiment of Earth tokens. One thing I should note right now, Drayton has no equipment, like at all. Whereas Nick does have some. We do have those, the Mark of Lightning that we've seen used to great effect this weekend.
He's just going to take this down to 10. And this is what we've seen time and time again with both of these, or not these players, or maybe these players specifically, but across the board these past 2 days, where players just trade blows and keep their hands so that they can perhaps swing tempo back even more in their favor.
Yeah, for sure. And
my gosh.
I think I know someone who likes this card.
Do you see the hand in Drayton, though? Look, he's got 2 Rejuvenates.
And an Amulet.
And an Amulet, so it's like, what is... I think the other one's a So Tomorrow. There's no attack in that hand.
Yeah, he has no attack. That's a very awkward hand.
Well, I think in this instance, he's like totally content with having this hand and having like to pitch it away.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I'm not going to do anything on my turn anyway,
exactly.
And I have 2 Embodiment of Earth tokens, so everything blocks for 4.
That's 100%. Like, might as well just block it all out here.
What a weird hand. Now, this does have this Blizzard Bolt does have Dominate, I believe. He's got a Mark of Lightning, and this is a great play. I love doing
100%.
This exact play on Blizzard Bolt because it's going to force a Frostbite token from the Mark, and then when Blizzard Bolt hits, it's going to force another Frostbite token as well because he did fuse this card.
Yeah, I actually really, really love that activation.
It doesn't even matter because Drayton's like, joke's on you.
I can't even do anything.
My hand is 2 non-attack action cards.
Yeah.
I'm going to Arsenal and pass anyway.
Yep. That is...
That's funny.
So that's the kind of the tricky thing with Briar, right?
Yeah, he's just going to pitch here and just pay 3 for a Rosetta Thorn, clear those. Does provide some sort of pressure. It's just funny that he didn't even really need to worry about those Frostbites because his turn was already going to be so low power.
Yeah, and that's one of the tricky things, like when you're playing Briar or building Briar, that a good chunk of your deck is going to be these non-attack actions, and some percentage of the time you just draw them all. Like, it's just going to happen sometimes.
Yes, you do. Sometimes you just unluckily hit the opposite of the nuts, right?
Exactly, the opposite. The opposite of it's the opposite of having everything, having nothing.
It's the anti-hand.
And then
it just takes 2 down to 8. Looks like it's 8 plays 10. And he keeps a card full of 4-card hand and reveals a Winter's Bite. Hey, I know that card. And makes a Frostbite token, and then he's going to play it and say, you have a 3-card hand now. Sorry.
So let's see what he does. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see how he sequences.
Oh, starting with a Channel Lake
Frigid.
How exciting.
That's not a card we've seen this weekend at all.
So Channel Lake Frigid is a channel card wherein at the end of the turn, you're going to put a channel counter on it, and you're going to look at your pitch zone. If the channel counter number, so like 3, 4, whatever, for example, is higher than the number of, in this case, ice cards in your pitch, then channel goes away. It's destroyed. But if the number is like equal or lower, then you keep your channel from turn to turn. So this is a persistent sort of aura effect.
Yep, exactly.
And what it does is it taxes your opponent 1 resource for everything they want to do, and it's a really cool card, and it does survive the first turn, and hopefully we can see it do some more work. We'll find out.
I love to see like this not as lightning side of Lexi. I'm just going to not as lightning side of Lexi with these Frostbite tokens, with these taxing effects. We do have a So Tomorrow.
He pays 3 for So Tomorrow. It comes from Arsenal, so it's going to draw him a card, I believe. But before you do draw that card, you do trigger the So Tomorrow effect, and he goes and grabs a Stir the Wildwood Yellow, which puts onto the bottom of the deck. Then you draw your card from Arsenal, if it did come from Arsenal.
Let's see. It does go into Banish Zone, so you can't just infinitely recycle those.
Correct.
Draws up that card. I see a Bramble Spark. I think I see... Is that an Entwine Lightning?
It's an Inspire Lightning and an Entwine Lightning.
Yeah.
So both lightnings.
Lots of lightning. Got lots of lightning.
And you
good
can't
thing to
fuse
note.
anything in your hand, unfortunately.
Doesn't actually have any lightning cards, despite the names.
A very awkward hand to have because you don't want any of those cards like in that order in your hand because like this, for example, is just a 3 attack and no go again.
Yeah, just a good old 3 attack. Once again, like you said, no go again. He cannot activate that Amulet of Lightning because you have to do a lightning fusion in the same turn to actually do the activation.
That's right.
So if you're Nick here, you're like, I know he really can't attack much more, barring some majestic shenanigans. So you might feel much more comfortable blocking here and then trying to follow that up with a really nice turn. He does have that card face up in his arsenal that he can just lead his turn with and try to strip a card out of Drayton's hand.
He could also be thinking this. I leave that card in arsenal. I play Honing Hood. I take it back into my hand. I put it back down. I flip it back over and give another Frostbite, and then maybe try to pitch some more ice cards and keep the channel alive. Something like that to continue to really tax. Because, like, check this out. This Entwined Lightning cost to play for the first time. Like, you actually have to pay for that because of Channel Lake Frigid. And look, he's going to do the Honing Hood play. He's taking the card back up. He's going to sink a card down in, and I'm sure he's going to flip that up, right?
I think so. He was, you know, ready to do this. He was like, had this prepared, knew exactly what he was doing.
Using the Lexi effect, showing the Polar Blast. And a Polar Blast is great from Arsenal because it is going to replace itself, draw a card, play that down. It also makes that Frostbite.
And he's also going to say, hey, do you want to pay 3 or give my next attack Dominate?
That's right. And if you choose Dominate as the opponent, then he can just play down an arrow and choose +1, and it already has the Dominate from prior.
Yeah, it's a really interesting spot to be in. Like, it's like, do you want to pay 3 to give him +1? Is kind of where it is. Because either way, you can give him Dominate. You can't really prevent them from having Dominate if you have an arrow, because they can always just choose it from Shiver.
Yeah, so and look at this. It looks like he didn't pay. He's just giving. He's letting it have Dominate. He's fusing the Chilling Ice Vein. This is coming across for, I would imagine that this is 6 with Dominate.
6 Dominate with a pretty nice on-hit effect. And you already have a Frostbite token. This is quite a taxing Lexi build, and I really like this. I really like to see this.
Channel does explode here. Channel goes away because you don't have the ice cards in your pitch zone to equal that number 2 that you were about to flip to the dice. So that's going to go away, and you are going to you know, pass on over after dealing a nice chunk of damage and making your opponent's turn really difficult. Oh, there's the Inspire Lightning. Does he have the fuse? Yes, he does have the fuse. So this does deal 3 Arcane. So he has a path to victory. He's dropped Drayton to 4, I believe. Yeah, I think he's dropped him to 4. Both players at 4 at this point.
Ooh, so I'm looking at Nick's hand, right? So he has a Bolt and Shot in hand, which is a fantastic card for going wide.
Look at this. He's using the Amulet of Lightning to give go again.
Ah, yes, because he has Lightning fused.
And so that he can play down the Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2.
It's very interesting here because he's coming in with a Rosetta Thorn, but he hasn't attacked with an attack action card, right?
Oh, that's correct. So it wouldn't be 2 and 2. This would just be 2 damage.
Yeah, because the Inspire Lightning is just a non-attack.
Yeah.
And to get that trigger off of Rosetta Thorn, you need an attack and a non-attack.
I do believe so, yes. So this would just be the 2 physical, right?
I think so. I think that this is just the 2 physical here. So it's not as threatening of an attack as you would believe. It's just coming in for 2 physical. And if you're Nick here, you got to be thinking, like, my opponent's at 4, I can dominate any of my arrows. There's a good chance that I can push through a lot of damage, especially if I have a pump card. And so if it's just 2, you can maybe just take it and try to close out the game.
Yeah, how many cards does he have in hand?
It's hard to tell. I've seen him flick him through. Maybe 3?
Yeah, it looks like
no,
he's got a full grip.
He's
a 4-card hand. He's going to block with a Weave Ice.
Okay. Very interesting that he chooses to block with a Weave Ice. It is a pump card.
Yeah, I wonder what so he's going to give him another. He's going to reveal that Winter's Bite again.
Frostbite token.
He's going to play the Winter's Bite. Say you can go ahead and pitch 2 or get rid of a card from you know, your hand.
I love this because it absolutely forces him to get rid of a card from his hand. So he's going to pitch it, have 1 resource floating. That resource likely won't matter all that much.
No. And then he's going to play
Overflex.
Overflex.
This is a +3 Overflex. Does technically have reload.
And he is going to reload. He's going to reload a Bolt and Shot. the Bolton shot's going to come across, and because its attack is greater than its base, it's going to gain go again automatically. So you can actually be really comfortable and just push the damage right over the top, coming across with the overflex for the finish. That is a really spicy way to finish the game. And look at this. Oh. There is no Briar in the finals. In fact, we have Lexi versus Oldham in the finals.
After seeing day one, who would have called it? No Briar in the finals.
This is the difference that draft makes. When you have the ability to read the players around you and say, looks like these draft players are taking this, I'm going to go the other way because it's more open. That allows you to build a deck that is this powerful, that gets you into the finals. So in just a few moments, we will jump into the finals of the Calling Dallas-Fort Worth. So stay right here. We're going to be right back with the big finish.